This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/audio. Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to sing a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, or you can email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. If you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon. Brand new Patreon. It's only been a couple of months, and we've got a lot of content up there, and I put up 8 hours of new content up there a month. Archives are always free. You can find us at Spreaker.com. I do a live show there Friday nights all by my lonesome, just talking to myself and talking to the air. You sign up for free. You get a email notification anytime I put up new content. We put up repeats every night. I play repeats every night. And as a chat room too as well. Our guest today is a super-duper insider with all the inside gossip on the Howard Stern Show and the Whack Pack and all the characters over there, Howard and Robin and Gary. Her name is Monique from Radio Gunk. Her website is radiogunk.com. You can find her on Twitter as Radio Gunk. And she has a podcast that she puts out on radiogunk.com. You can find it at any of the podcast catchers out there, the podcast platforms. Just Google Radio Gunk and you're going to find her. Monique, are you there? So nice to meet you, Monique. Tell us about yourself before we get into Howard Stern. We want to hear about Monique. Who is Monique from Radio Gunk? My neighbor.
I am a Hell's Kitchen Manhattan girl through and through. And, I go south for the winters. I go north for the summers. And, life is good. No complaints at all. So that's...
Yeah, I was going to guess that you were from New York. Did you listen way back in WNBC or was it K-Rock?
I did not. So WNBC I was a little bit young for WNBC, but also it was AM radio, and I was in school, so it wasn't really something that you could really listen to. And then when he finally went to K-Rock, is when I kind of got a hold of it, and even still, we couldn't listen for like a solid 4 hours because you had to go to work or you had to go to school or whatever the case may be. And so, there's still some bits and still some clips and things that people will send me that I've never heard. I've never heard any of those pay-per-view specials or watched any of the pay-per-view specials. I've never really watched the E! Channel, although a lot of people tell me that's how they got into him when he wasn't as prolific a broadcaster as he became after going to K-Rock. But yeah, so it just started to kind of be this crazy thing where I wasn't really ever quite obsessed with him, but enough that you start to know way too much about the characters. And as you know, as he loves to say, radio is a habitual medium, so it just became habit. And now as the years go on, it's even less of a habit because of how much he's changed.
Yeah. How about the Channel 9 show? You were in New York for that.
So, yeah, I may have been in New York for that, but, your girl was very much the party girl.
Okay.
And there's probably not a chance of me ever having stayed home to watch that. But somebody sent me the entire catalog of the Channel 9 shows, and I cannot wait to go through them all. I really can't. I mean, when he finally retires is when I'll have the leisure time of just going through all of.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
That stuff, and just bashing it and just, appreciating maybe the funny parts of it, but also like the I can't believe that we listened to this and drank this Kool-Aid of who this man is.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on those old Channel 9 shows. Now, is Radio Gunk now, is this a full-time living for you?
So it's not really a living. I am no longer working in the garment center. I do just some freelance stuff there. But, it's something that we do for purely fun. I have a guy named Xavier who really runs the forum aspect of things, and I run the podcast portion of stuff. And, it's never really been a financial endeavor. And we've always said when it stops being fun, we'll stop doing it. I do a lot of photography on the side. I travel extensively. So, yeah, it's just one of those fun things to do.
And what will we find on radiogunk.com?
So I have these two portions of it. You were just talking about how you have a chat with the opperman.
Yeah.
The forum is really the mainstay of what happens on the website. So ostensibly it's supposed to be used for showcasing the podcast and a place for everything that we've ever done to reside at. But then it became more of a place where people wanted to chat about the shows and then chat about more than the shows. And forums are a very, very curious area of business. People come on pretty much every day. I mean, you get the stats. You get the stats of what people are doing, almost by the minute, and we'll tell you the demographics and practically the psychographics of what people are there for, and who your customer is and their ages and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy. But yeah, people come in and out all day long, and we strive to put new content up there. Most of it having to do with pop culture, the mainstay of it being Howard Stern. But, because he does less and less shows, I mean, now he's down to 3 days a week, 3 hours a day. There's so much less content than what there ever was before. So it's just become a little bit, weird to have everything about Howard on there. So at this point where, politics became such a huge portion of what we do, and people just come and love to chat with faceless strangers that they don't have to be held accountable to.
Oh yeah, I used to be addicted to those message board forums. Now the reason why I contacted you, I says, man, because Howard came back on my mind recently. I read the article about Scott Salem, Scott the engineer, his GoFundMe. Yeah. You know that story. Yeah. That broke my heart.
We actually wrote that story. And
really?
It was a really interesting time period because I had heard that, for any of you who don't really know what the story is, basically Scott Salem, who was a lifelong employee of the Stern Show, he was the producer, if you will, of all the audio content, and that was his lifetime job. And he had been with Howard over 35 years or so, as many of the people with the Stern staff were. And unfortunately, his wife, Robin, had cancer. And, which was kind of unbeknownst to everybody out there. But he had put up a GoFundMe. And I started getting some text and emails from former and current employees saying, I can't believe that Howard hasn't made mention of this on air. How come he's, not talking about it? If all you need is one word from a Howard to have that GoFundMe reach its goal immediately. And I think it was more for the aftercare of Robin, when she got home from the hospital and her rehabilitation and things like that. And we all contributed, and we all put it up there. And you saw that like Benji contributed, and some of the other miscellaneous people, but nothing from Howard. And the big story at the time was that, Artie apparently had given money and then asked for it back. And which we thought was a really messed up thing to do.
Well, why did he do that? Do you know?
You know what? I don't really know. I had Artie on not too long after that, and he swore up and down to me that absolutely did not happen. But I do know better, and I know that it did. And and I guess that Artie just really needed the money. I mean, I guess being altruistic wasn't really going to be in the cards for an Artie Lang. And so, so then only to find out that, Howard didn't want it mentioned on the air, and nor did he give anything to the GoFundMe or to Scott. And it's really a sad state of affairs when a man makes $90 million a year that he can't treat an employee, a lifelong employee.
Scott was around during Rocket Entertainment, okay, where he would work for Howard Stern as the engineer, and then was a DJ on the weekends and at night, doing weddings. Yeah. And you know what? He actually produced. Howard's daughter Emily Stern is a student, like a rabbinical student of some sort, and she does all this music, like this Judaic kind of music and stuff like that. And but she, thought she was going to be a singer at some point, and did something called Zoo, which Scott produced and engineered for her. And and he did that for everybody. He did it for Stuttering John when, he knew that he was going to be going out there and auditioning for Jay Leno. I mean, Scott was the man for a very long time. And also, like everybody else on that show, was also very flawed and somebody that Howard could pick on and abuse without any repercussions. And, so he played that character as well. So, but Artie's on hard times right now financially?
So I'm not really sure what's going on with Artie. He hasn't really been around. He did one interview with Nick DiPaolo not too long ago, and then he also did something where fans were kind of supporting him, and he did some kind of mini podcast with his agent. Details are hazy on this, but Artie has absolutely been out of the picture for at least the last 6 to 7 months. Nobody knows where he's living. We do think that he's with his mom. And he's just been apparently keeping clean and quiet. So I'm not really sure what's going on with him, really. I remember hearing from his agent a long time ago when he was first going to, let's call it drug jail, where he was going to be doing these T-shirts to support Artie, because Artie was afraid that if he was in jail, he wasn't going to be able to support his mother. So don't know how that went down. I don't know how much, money Artie has, gone through over the course of, the many years since he's left the Stern Show. But, I would definitely say that Artie may be on some financial hard times, yes.
Is the show cursed? When you look at the the lives of so many of the people associated with the show, the mental illness, crazy cabbies in a wheelchair, I forget you just mentioned the guy. I forget his name, but the guy with the blood and the Bible. We know that story.
Who? What? Which blood Bible? What?
The guy you just mentioned him on your thing. I got to pull up your Twitter. You were just talking about him. He was calling himself. Yeah, I know. But it's not me. Let me see here, real quick. He went crazy on the show. Casey Armstrong. Casey Armstrong.
Oh, Casey. So you know what? There's two aspects to the people that have been on the Stern Show. It's very, 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 very rare that somebody gets fired from that show. Most people leave on their own accord. Artie, as everybody classically knows, had to be fired by Tim Sabian. Casey apparently was messing around with one of the other people that worked there, which I guess at the time was forbidden, even though the woman that Howard wound up taking in as his, chief operations officer of the Stern shows wound up marrying one of the guys who worked there, but I digress. And then, so Casey unfortunately had to be let go, and Stuttering John, of course, left on his own accord to make, quadruple the amount of money that he was making there. And, you can really almost count on one hand how many people actually work there that have left. I mean, think about it. Many of the people that are there have been there well over 20, if not 30 years.
But you know the story about Casey Armstrong back at his apartment, and he was cutting himself and pouring the blood on the Bible?
I do not know that story.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay. You got to look up there. You got to look that up. And also, too, the other one, too, Crazy Cabbie, I had him on the show, and he, at one point, too, he thought he was being recorded. He thought his phones were tapped. They were filming him through his walls. There's been a lot of mental illness with this bunch.
Well, I think that that's what attracts people that Howard likes to keep in his sphere. Like, I think that he likes to be, the the man who knows the most in a room. He wants to be the skinniest. He wants to be the wealthiest. Most of his people are like well overweight, probably on Zoloft, have all sorts of mental deficiencies and all no other job other than working for Howard. So he somehow is able to be almost like an abusive father where he, can keep them down with how he berates them or how he talks to them, yet show them kindness by, the beneficence of having them have a job with the Howard Stern show. And for most of them, that's as good as it's going to get, I think.
I think back to my days when I was in New York and I had my little business, and I would do that same kind of comedy routine to my employees. And I'm going to berate them, it was sharp tongue, wit, criticism,
yes,
and torture each other all day long. That wasn't a good thing. That wasn't
You know what?
Yeah.
Is it? I'm the same way. And, I think at my peak, I had like 16 people that worked under me. And I am who I am. I am sarcastic and obnoxious, and I do curse a lot. And, I will berate people, but it only comes from love, I think. And I think that, it's only to make them better. I don't want anybody working for me who's just going to, get by, learn something and understand that you're doing something wrong. But with Howard, he picks on them for eating meat. He picks on them for, not working out as hard as he does. He picks on them for not, especially with COVID now, my God, it's insanity. He's holed up in his mansion.
Yeah.
And basically being a monster to anybody who dare go outside or has to shop for themselves or chooses to just have a little bit of outdoor time with drinks with a friend or two. It's just insanity to me that this is who he's become. But they all have drank the Kool-Aid, and so they all are under the under his thumb. Like a Svengali of sorts. It's kind of weird to me.
Is there anybody who's left that still has a good relationship with him?
Well, I don't know. Define good relationship. Anybody who's left the show who has a good relationship with him. No, I would say
I can't
absolutely.
think of one either, yeah.
Not one. And it'll be interesting because if Ronnie does wind up leaving at the end of the year, or I think he's supposed to leave in 6 months or something like that and move to Vegas or whatever he's going to do, it'll be very interesting to see whether or not he retains a relationship with a Ronnie. Probably depends on whether or not they have a NDA or not.
Yeah.
Will be whether or not he stays friends with them.
You mentioned the NDA. Now, that's interesting because no one who's left ever talks about a wig or being bald or dyeing his hair. Has anybody that's been gone talk about that?
God knows I have asked every single person who has ever been on my show, whether they think it's a wig, whether they think I would say that most people at this point who don't ever want to talk about it because, there's always this fear that a man who has the platform that he does there'll be severe repercussions for talking about him, and so there's a great fear of that. But yeah, I think most people will tell you that if it's not a wig, it's a hair system. It's something that covers up. He's very, very vain, Howard. He's a very vain man. And, once Private Parts was done, he took all the wigs home and he wore them almost exclusively when he would go on, TV or on air somewhere or be broadcast. And, because he just felt like he needed to be that rock star guy. And but yeah, a lot of them don't like to talk about him. It's usually the same cast of characters that you will hear in any of these news reports that are out there. But I'll hear from people on Twitter on private text. Will be like, okay, who do you think talked this time? And it's like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure who this one is attributable to, And most of the stuff that was in the Scott Salem thing, we've talked about forever, and yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy there.
Now, I haven't listened in a long time because I just stopped enjoying it. But what's his relationship with Gary like these days?
So Gary, there's actually a really great thread on it at my forum this week. Well, today, because things usually fall off the first page within like a couple of hours. But basically talking about how he just berated him so much this week and last week, and and we're all just so amazed at how Gary still takes it. But I wrote a whole dissertation on it, basically saying how can you not understand that somebody who came in there as a glorified intern directly out of a Delphi college, who knows absolutely nothing else about radio other than what he's been taught from Howard, would not ride on this wave until it came crashing to shore? I mean, that's all you can do. You have made yourself this person in this role. You will always be Boy Gary the intern. You will always be the person, the first go-to to be berated about anything that you do. And that is your lot in life, and you need to accept it. And for that, you got a big, beautiful house in Connecticut. Your two kids went to great colleges and got internships at, amazing places because of who their dad knows. And he's gotten a ton of stuff for free. He traveled all over the place, and so, okay, so if the boss wants to beat him up a couple of times on air, I'm okay with it,
And Gary seems to be, I talked to Gary, not as an interview. It's in the newspapers. I helped him out with that time he was being stalked by that woman when he was in Greenwich, Connecticut, running for that Parks position, whatever it was.
Oh, Parks, right.
Yeah. And some woman wrote this crazy email, and I helped him out with that. And it seems to be a genuinely nice man,
I mean, there's nothing. Listen, he has been blessed with the ability to have absolutely no discernible talent whatsoever, yet be able to make a ton of money and probably not have to think about, when Howard retires in 5 years, actually having to, go and seek out another profession or another job. I think he'll be able to retire and be fine and not ever have to worry again. So, he's made it in my eyes.
Now, one of the things that I'm just only getting wind of is this whole business about this organizational woman, this woman who's an organizer.
Marcy Turk?
Yeah. Who is this woman? What's the story with this? She's like a cult leader. How did she came in here and took the place over?
So, okay. Yeah. All right. So it's a little jumbled there, but Marcy Turk used to work for the company Getting Things Done, GTD. So some people will say it's a cult, others will just say it's a way of life. Basically, Howard got into it initially because I'm almost positive that he still had an AOL account, which, as you know, anybody who has an AOL account, if you look at their phone, they have 10,000 unread messages and stuff like that. And he read the book. He was fascinated with the organizational techniques that were implemented in the book. And as Howard is known to do, if he wants to learn how to play chess, he will go to a grandmaster to teach him. If he wants to learn how to play guitar, he will go to the best, guitarist that's not with a rock band to teach him how to play guitar. Same thing with his art. So he went directly to GTD and said, I'm really a believer in what you're peddling. And, I need help with my organization. And by organization, it means, Gary and the rest of the crew. Mm-hmm. Because I think, familiarity breeds a lot of contempt. I mean, and again, it's something that was part of the thread today at the forum. But, Gary would basically walk around in, a dirty T-shirt and shorts or his Adidas tracksuit, eating donuts that were sent up by, somebody, and calling people to come on the show. And if they didn't want to come on, it's okay, no big deal. And, not really have to work too hard anymore. And I think that Howard, because he's not able to be that person, to be that demanding taskmaster, needed to have somebody in the organization that would be that person. So along comes a Marcy Turk, who was part of the organization. Details are a little hazy for me on her, because if you ever checked out her LinkedIn, she had basically 12 jobs, and he hired her when she was only in her mid-30s. So I'm not exactly sure what kind of, discernible talent she had, other than to be the person who would get everybody's lives together there and make them a little bit more professional. And I think that was the entirety of what her job was supposed to be. And then, famously, the recording, I don't know if you ever saw it, of Howard talking to all of his people back in the early 2000s, so whenever it was, talking about how we need to get it together, we need to be a better, more effective team. And classically at that meeting, Gary said, do I report to her too, boss? And he said, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So you no longer, come directly to me. You go through, everything goes through Marcy. So she became, the one in charge. And everybody will kind of point to that as being the moment where they thought that the Howard Stern Show had officially jumped the shark, because then he was the brand. No longer was it the show. It was just Howard. And all you could talk about was Howard. And, gosh, it really changed everything for them, I think, sadly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that recording. I didn't realize the significance of it. But it sounded like a crazy man. So, yeah. Okay.
There was spelling errors in it. Just everything about it. For us, it was like the Zapruder film of things that Howard does wrong. And, we've parsed through it 1,000 times and laughed at it each time. And it's just like, gosh, I can't believe that he would get everybody together in a room to peddle this to them and say, basically, this is going to be your new boss. Things are going to change around here. Breakfast will await everybody who comes in, and we have to treat them like this is the red carpet, because it was his way of selling his rebranding. It was the rebranding of Howard. It was the rebranding of, not being known for, painting women's chests with a, shamrock, or doing things with naked girls on TV. This was the rebranding of the brilliant interviewer, the man that everybody knows, the most important, most popular DJ in American history. And that was when the rebranding began.
So we know who filmed the Zapruder film. Do we know who recorded this and leaked it?
We absolutely know who recorded it and leaked it.
And you're not going to tell on the Opperman report? You're not going to tell either?
No, we absolutely know who recorded it and leaked it. And there's some speculation. People, oh gosh, I've never seen my inbox go as crazy as it did when that thing was released to the general public. It was just such a delicious moment in time. And, at some point, I think, when he retires, or I don't know, when he retires, I'll probably go out there and tell everybody, how the whole thing went down, and who I'm probably 1,000% sure leaked it, and what happened with that whole scenario. But it was quite delicious. We were thrilled that it fell into someone's lap and that they were able to get it out there.
If I were to hear the name, would I recognize it?
Probably, yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a little commercial break here. I'm going to beat this information out of her with a rubber hose. Okay. We are with Monique from Radio Gunk. It's a podcast. There's a Twitch, brand new Twitch they just started doing. You can find her on Twitter. And the website is called radiogunk.com. We'll be right back after these messages with more of Marie from Radio Gunk. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Monique from Radio Gunk. Now, you are Radio Gunk, right? That's your name, Radio Gunk.
So Gunk actually comes from the fact that in high school, because Howard was such a, long, gangly drink of water, his friends used to call him Gunky.
Oh, really?
And, if I had to change it at this moment, I probably would, simply because I think at some point I don't want the podcast to be, 1,000% Howard driven, but, based on the demographics of my show, I have no choice. So I'll expand out at some point. We have this Twitch channel now, which is an interesting thing. Are you ever on Twitch, Ed?
No, I had YouTube just like you did, and they shut me down just like this happened to you.
Yeah, shut us down. And so I did start another YouTube channel, which is really just for the forum, which is called Radio Gunk Miscellaneous, MISC. But, it's not nearly the thousands of viewers I had on the other one, but whatever. And but Twitch, you can program channels, and so you can basically put on anything you want and make a schedule, like from 7 to 10, have this person on. And so just trying to start develop that a little bit. A lot of people that listen to my show are also inexplicably also into conspiracy theories and things like that, or the Mandela effect, and just kind of curious tidbits as such. So, at some point, I think I'm going to expand it out a little bit. But I would say at this point, we are probably about 40% podcast and 60% forum is really, where people come to just kind of hang out and really just talk about everything that's going on in the world. And there's so much going on in the world that, it becomes a place of comfort. Somebody's dog passes away, everybody's sad and mourns with them. Or, we just had a friend in Chicago who staved off a carjacking in his own garage. The 3 guys with guns came in, told him, give me the car. And he just pulled out a gun and started shooting at them, and they started shooting back at him, and it shattered his ankle. And, I think a bullet went through his wrist or something like that. And, so he put up a GoFundMe. And so, of course I promoted it on the site and on Twitch and pretty much everywhere else. And, and so it's really like a support mechanism as well for a lot of people, because a lot of us are out there during the time of COVID, especially, where, we're not going out and enjoying our lives. We're just kind of sitting at home wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah, those message boards really become a community, and lifelong friends come out of them too. I've had friends from the Lacey Peterson case, and years and years. Oh yeah, I was a big into true crime stuff. But now let me ask you a question. Now, I had heard this rumor one time about Howard and this was, I think this might have even been before he went to Sirius. Okay, and a lot of people don't realize this guy was really rich before Sirius. Okay, he had those big pay-per-view things. He had big salaries, big gigs, movie. The guy made a lot of money. But he has a person on his staff who inventories everything in his life that he touches, and it goes into storage lockers.
Yes, and it's wrapped in archival paper, and it's put into temperature-controlled rooms. Yes, but they just had a conversation about this maybe at the beginning of this year. I think he started to actually look at himself and what he was doing, and, probably out of boredom, just kind of looked at what he's financially putting out to archive a calendar that was signed by, Miss January 1990, and wondering why he has it individually wrapped in archival paper in a box in a controlled, air-conditioned setting in some storage facility somewhere. So I know I found that really curious as well. But, his thinking was that, at some point he's going to retire, and somewhere somebody may want a history of Howard, or that he would actually have the hubris to think that it deserved to be in a museum or something, and that's what would happen with it. So I don't know. I find it kind of curious as well.
That's fascinating. Do we know the details on that? Like how many storage lockers, or did he build his own warehouse? No,
it's not even a storage locker. It's a warehouse that what they do is what is it called? Ephemeral. What's the word you use for collecting, archiving paper and stuff like that? It's a company that actually does that for a living. It's literally museum quality archival that he is doing for legit things like a calendar signed by someone. Just things like that. And so the guys apparently were going crazy about it because 3 of them were tasked with trying to figure out what he needs and what he doesn't need any longer. And so I guess they were going through that. And so when he wrote his second book, I think it was, they had made these danglers, they were called, which essentially were like these almost cardboard things that you could hang off of, I don't know, a Christmas tree or somewhere, I don't know. And he had hundreds of them that were, again, given, they were freebies from the book company when he was starting his promotion. And again, they are all archived and wrapped in archival paper and put into boxes and stored in a temperature-controlled warehouse facility. It's insanity.
That is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. What do we know about his relationship with Robin Quivers?
So we don't really know much other than, we always speculate on. So I think Robin is completely and utterly in love with him. I think that she, she wouldn't do this job without him. I think that from Howard's perspective, she she is his ability to be misogynistic and also back in the day very racist and have the foil for his ability to do that, because here is a black woman who's sitting in with him, who is his cohort and co-conspirator in everything that he does, and she would just laugh. And so if Robin laughed about it, in some way or fashion, that made it acceptable, so it was okay.
Have you ever heard a rumor that she was a dominatrix?
I love that, and no.
Okay.
I wouldn't put it. I mean, listen, she's practiced being a witch.
Right.
She has, she basically is in a cultish type thing called the Landmark Forum, which she tries to suck everybody into, and I 1,000% would not put that past her.
Right. I was going to get to the witchcraft. I was going to get to the witchcraft stuff too, because there are recordings where she's talking about going out into the woods and doing ceremonies. Right. What do you know about all that?
So basically, I think that Robin has always been a very sad creature. We know from testing that was done on her that she has one of the highest narcissistic ratings of
by Keith Abloh, though. Wasn't that Keith Abloh who did that?
Yes, but the testing is nevertheless is the same. But I could see that. I could see how a woman like her, who has never been married, is childless, I would have 1,000% guaranteed you that she was a lesbian without question.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I couldn't for the life of me think of her as being able to maintain a relationship with somebody of the male species. I don't see it, but I think it's because of her narcissism and because she is so very, very full of herself, and in a lot of ways very much like Howard. She's always wanted to be almost that haughty woman. She decides she wants to ride horses, so of course she's going to have a horse, and of course that horse is going to be kept in Manhattan so that she can ride whenever she feels like it around in a circle, or that she's going to be a race car driver. So she's, going to learn how to drive a race car, or she wants singing lessons so that she can be a singer, and she's going to do that. And, she just, I feel, lives a very solitary life. And, I know a lot of people will tell you that they don't think that she had the cancer when she did, but I definitely believe that she did. And, but yet that wouldn't stop her from, Howard saying something about somebody who has, some giant cancerous growth, and he laughs about it and she laughs about it too. So there's no thoughts in her, almost like a sociopath. She'll have something horrible happen to her, yet has no problem whatsoever with laughing about it when it's somebody else's misfortune. I find that fascinating about her.
And what's the story with this Landmark group?
So the Landmark Forum is based out of New York City, and I know Steve Grillo told the story on my podcast one time, may have even been on his, I'm not even sure where it was, but we were talking about how Robin convinced him that he needed this in his life.
Yeah, Casey too. She took Casey over there too.
And this is well after he was on the show, obviously. But these are people that she felt needed this in their lives. So she paid for them to go. She paid for Grillo to go, and he had no idea what he was getting into. And it was like a 3-day thing, where you stay over and you just kind of bond with these people, talking about your lives and what you could be doing better and blah blah blah. And but once, of course, you do that 3-day thing, then there's another 3-day thing and another 3-day thing. And then it's this growth, your pathway to enlightenment almost and growth. And she apparently was very willing to pay for it like the entire time for Steve. But then I don't know what happened. I think he did some sort of article came out in the New York Post that he said something bad about Howard, and one day he was going over there to visit Robin, and she called him and basically said, "You can't come up. You're not allowed up here anymore, and I'm not allowed to." But basically, I don't know how the words went, but something to the effect of, "I'm not allowed to be your friend anymore, so I gotta go, and you can't come up here anymore." And that was it. And she just cut him off. And that's all she wrote. So yeah, I'm not necessarily sure what her involvement is with the Landmore Farm, but I'm kind of positive that many of her friends and many of the people that she associates with outside of the Stern Show are part of that forum as well. So yeah, she's in that deep.
And was this the same group as the Witches Circle? There was
no,
no,
the Coven.
The Coven, yeah. What was the Coven? Do you know? Was it the Process Church? Because they were based out of Staten Island.
It's a very, very good question. I think, I think it all just kind of goes back to her trying something different and trying something new so that she can say that she has enlightened herself to something else. I can't imagine for the life of me that, Robin, by any stretch of the imagination, is and or wants to be a witch. I mean, just like the ayahuasca that she tried in Peru or Bolivia or wherever she was, it was just something that somebody thought would be an amazing thing for her to do, and so she's going to jump on that fad, like the coffee enemas or the juice diet or any of the other stuff that she tried that was kind of crazy. I would posit that she already knew that she had this cancerous growth, and she was trying everything in her power to make herself better without the use of Western medicine, because she basically frowned upon it for some bizarre reason or another. But meanwhile, of course, she had to rely on the very, very, very best doctors at Sloan Kettering to get her through this. So I'm sure that whole BS went right out the window of her not believing in Western medicine anymore.
Now, when time flew by with this show, we only got about 5 minutes left. But what about the whole story with Mr. I'm just fascinated with the Stern Show. I listened to it every single day for how many years? I used to have dreams about it. I would dream about it, that I was in part of the panel there, But what do you call it? What about Mr. X?
So there was a great rumor about Mr. X, which I loved more than anything. And I think Richie Wilson maybe told it. Again, details are hazy at this point. I think it was on my show when we were talking about how Mr. X, apparently, when they were filming some sort of thing, maybe it was like Robin racing or Ronnie or something like that, and they were up in the Poconos, and apparently whoever was the keymaster for most of the rooms busted Mr. X in one of the rooms with someone not Robin.
Oh, really?
And yes. And so it always made you think, was Mr. X her, what's that guy that's been with Oprah for like 1,000 years?
Oh, Beard, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Was he somebody who was, who she was using as a guise of, it's about time that I'm in a relationship. I mean, and they never got out of Jim Florentine why he did it as well. But, and apparently she went on one date with Penn Jillette. But I think this was all like a guise for the fact that she probably does not like men. I truly, truly believe that. I truly do.
Now, Mr. X was supposed to be some kind of a high-level government top-secret guy?
I thought he was like an ex-cop or something like that, or a detective.
Yeah, but then, ex-cop, but then he elevated to this big high position in the government, like a top-secret. No?
I don't think he was that top secret, considering he was on a show called The Better Half, where they basically talked about, his sexual endeavors with Robin and stuff like that. I can't even imagine how top he could possibly be if he would come on a show like that and, talk about his sex life with Robin. So
there wouldn't be another guy besides Mr. X. Okay, maybe that was just some kind of weird myth at the time. Now, what about Ralph? Is he still around?
So I don't understand Ralph. I don't get a Ralph. I know that the day that Howard Stern finally blocked me on Twitter, it was the exact same time that Ralph did. So Ralph and Howard at the exact same time blocked me from Twitter. I think that Ralph is a curious creature. He is one of only 3 people that are on the Howard Stern 112 Productions payroll, including, as I just found out recently, Marcy Turk, who does not work for Sirius. She works for Howard. And he gets a 401k, and he has a savings retirement plan with Howard. And, to me, only the keeper of the highest secrets is able to get that kind of deal for somebody who basically does absolutely nothing for a living, other than pick out horrific clothing for, a man who basically looks like a skeleton.
Yeah, you look at these people who get these cushy spots with Howard. You got the limo driver, right?
Right.
You got Ralph. And then the other one, too, is that National Enquirer guy who got a spot. His own little segment on the Stern Show, which was so...
Oh, he passed away.
Did he really? I'm sorry to hear that, but... Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I was legitimately 5 minutes away from having him on the show, Mike Walker.
Mike Walker.
I feel like there was some sort of weird quid pro quo for, if the Enquirer kept away from him and his dealings, then, we'll give you guys like a nice segment on my show, for sure.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some sort of, as we call it, a quid pro quo of him, being able to to make a deal like that. And I never got to the bottom of it because he literally died. I was so close. I mean, we used to email with each other all the time, and we talked about what a great show it was going to be. And I never got there. But I am planning for sure to do a whole thing. You might love to even participate in this at some point, but Dominic Barbara is a good friend of mine, and he has been involved in so many great cases and things above and beyond his notoriety with the Stern Show. He had the whole case with Joey Buttafuoco. He actually did the case with that crazy woman who went the wrong way down the highway.
Right, yeah, I know that story. Yeah. Monique, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. It's going down memory lane with the Howard Stern Show. RadioGunk.com, which you can find the podcast, the Twitch, the Twitter. Great content. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Let's keep in touch, okay?
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Bye. And now a word from our sponsors. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com, or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents, they handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.